I think speech and language has an impact on everything that you do at every level of your life, starting from when you're first born, moving all the way through to when you're an adult and you're needing to get jobs and communicate with people, be able to share your emotions, be able to make friendship groups, liaise with other adults, colleagues. It just has a huge impact on everything that you do.
They struggle to communicate and they, like I said, they do become invisible, so it's working around ways to help them be seen and be heard in the classroom so we can get their needs dealt with.
What we realised once we got into speech-language communication is how important it is to young people. Because what we know about speech-language communication is that those who are upwardly mobile have good speech-language communication skills. Those who are not upwardly mobile don't.
It's got to be life chances, it's got to be out making sure that children have the right skills, communication skills to go through education into life afterwards. It's about giving the school, my year 6 children, those necessary skills when they transfer that very difficult journey into year 7, when they go to high school, and then even probably more importantly, it's about when they're 16, 18, going out into the wide world. If they can't communicate, chances are slim.
So we were aware it was a problem, but I think we thought as a school that we were doing okay with that. We thought we'd done all right until the talk of the town arrived.
The best thing about the Talk of the Town project is that there was no big new change. It was all things that fitted in, slotted in, dropped in and enhanced what we were already doing. But it brought with it expertise and resources which we hadn't had access to previously, and it enabled us to build the capacity within school to continue that work once the project itself had finished.
It was really good in that you thought, wow, this is amazing, can't believe this has come, why have we not done this before, this is brilliant, oh my gosh, this is going to be fabulous. But in the same way, it was just opening a huge can of worms. You thought, oh my gosh, I want to get out to everybody. And because of my role in foundation, the children come to us from 3. I was then looking at a mission of getting out to younger than that, because the problems were coming in at 3, obviously before that, what was happening before. So it was a job that I couldn't do, but we wanted to do as much as we can when they get to school. So it impacted on a lot of what we started to do, which we hadn't done before. It allows us to see exact key points and key areas that we need to work on straight away. So linking on from there, it's allowing us to group our children according to communication ability. So we're able to pitch our lessons at all the right levels. And also staff are much more clued in to the right way, having the children model what you want them to do. So there's lots of modelling. So if a child may say to you, in my class, can I have a toilet? We would then say, you know, you can't have a toilet, what do you need to say? So they would say, can I go to the toilet? So we're constantly modelling the right way, and that runs throughout the school.
I think the Talk of the Town has, across the school, made communication and speech and language high profile. I think teachers across the school, especially myself, are more confident in identifying those children that need the extra support and how we can provide and what sort of support that they need, and also how we're going to get that support for them.
We think in schools that we do a lot around speech and language. And in many schools, they think it's about a special needs provision, and it's not. It's for everyone. It's for all schools and all young people. Because as I said before, if you're going to get upward mobility, the qualification side is important, but the missing part is how they communicate effectively.
Particularly with foundation, we started our home visits a lot earlier in the year. We wanted to see the children in their own settings. We wanted to see what the parents were doing with them. We also wanted to give parents some skills and tools to start talking to the children. We'd been given quite a lot of resources from the project, talking things to do with your child, things to talk to your child. We'd also used our linked speech and language therapist that had come as part of the project, and she'd supported us greatly with parents, giving them activities to do. We did some group sessions in school. So we'd started a lot earlier, so that was great. Then when the children came, we had access to them being assessed. which initially for the project was done by speech and language therapists, but what we've also done now is through the development of the speech and language assessment tool, we're now assessing our own children when they come in, which has just been invaluable. It's been brilliant.
There's not a lot of support you can be given, so as a new teacher it is really beneficial working with a trust like this who can provide that support for you and the different ways in which you can identify the children and how you can support them within the classroom.
And the Communication Trust has actually given those opportunities for other members of staff to work together. So the communication leads have worked together, the teaching assistants have worked together. So it's broadened the network, and it's just enhanced those opportunities for staff to share expertise, and also that wonderful thing of being able to say, do you know, it's not working here, have you got a good idea, can I magpie it? I never thought about that, can I have that one? And I think that's the big thing about it. It's actually just broadened the opportunities for learning and opportunities for staff.
It was a brilliant experience, and as a school I know we feel really privileged that we were part of that. Everything about it, everybody was so helpful. We were very lucky in that we did get resources, but it was just an amazing experience, and everybody in the team was really supportive and listened very carefully to what it was that we wanted, and if it was possible kind of made it happen. And really were in tune with what each school, because every school was different and every school had different needs, but they really supported us with that, and it was an excellent experience. We've also linked further out into other primary schools where we have cluster meetings, so we've been able to share our knowledge, the assessment tool, some of the small talk books. We've been able to share those ideas and practices with other schools, and I know another couple of schools that have gone on to get Makaton training because of the impact that it had with our children. So it's been a really positive, certainly within the community, a really positive effect.
The structuring sentences, good focus on vocabulary and developing vocabulary, and it's all done through games and interaction, and the children really enjoy it. Had a really positive impact in school.
I think it's just fantastic. It just brings that level, again, I've talked about level of expertise that you just marvel at what they know and how they can bring in, and their enthusiasm, and also that when they can relate to projects they've been on and bring that into our school, and it just raises the bar again. It just raises the bar about CPD and awareness and everything else. Also, it makes you feel like you're not on your own. There's another area around that's got similar problems. Or, do you know, I was in a school the other day, and I just think that whole thing about the national perspective makes you feel probably more valued. Sort of, you know, when somebody comes and says, do you know what, your work you're doing is just unbelievable, on the data that you've got, it just enhances the whole thing.
Every class was provided with a talk box from the trust, and I think they work really well. We, as teachers, we're planning to use them in everyday lessons, whether it's guided reading, numeracy or literacy. They're planned to be used in every lesson, and it's something that the kids really love. And it's not just the children with the needs that can use them, it's every child in the class can use them, which is supporting everyone with their communication skills.
The difference very small things can make to children, just giving children time to think. If they can't answer the question immediately, you don't move on to somebody else or say, shall somebody help you? Some children just take a little bit longer. I think the ability to understand that a child's behaviour might not be about them not wanting to do the right thing, but there may be something that's preventing them from understanding what you want them to do, or from being able to process the instruction and do it appropriately. And I think just that it's not something that we can let go, because it's not something that we can just flick a switch and change and make it all right. It's an onward journey, really, because the children's speaking and listening has to continue to develop throughout their education, so it needs to continue right the way through.
Yes, we've had a huge impact on children. Initially, when we started the project, we were lucky enough to have the speech and language therapists come and assess the children, and their assessment was very detailed, but it came out showing that within our nursery we had 70% of the children working below if not very below the age-related expectations for the communication. Having done a year on the project and having done all the different activities and interventions with the children, we found that at the end of the year, we actually only had 30% that weren't at age-related expectations. So it was a huge increase. Again, the year that's just gone, we did our own using the speech and language assessment tool. And again, we were able to use that to ability group our children. So when we were doing the communication groups, they were pitched at the right levels. And again, we've seen an increase this year on the amount of children that were leaving with age-related communication results. I think from a work level, it's one of the best skills that I've ever been given to use. It's one of the best things that's come into my teaching career so far. The speech and language assessment tool that we've got is invaluable, and we use that all the time. I think just having all the resources that came with the small talk guide, having those. We also had some really good activities given to us, which was through the speech and language therapist, that let you start thinking about what should I be doing in class, and it's just brought it very much to the forefront of your mind. So when you're planning, when you're preparing activities, when you're thinking about how that's going to look, you're very much more having communication at the very front of your mind rather than it being something that pops in. It's very much based around how we're going to communicate that, you know, how's the communication going to come in. So certainly with planning, it's there.
You know, you've got to go on this journey. You've got to embed it. It's just probably the most important thing the most important skill we can give our children on their journey through Bagley Hall. Without that, then children are just going to struggle. If you can't speak it, you can't write it. So I think that's just crystallised in many ways the importance of it, the way it needs to be embedded throughout in school improvement planning, the way that it needs to be that when new members of staff come into school, all the skills that we've learned over the last year are passed on to those new members of staff, so it becomes something that becomes an integral part of the school throughout, not just on a quick fix. It's not a quick fix we've done, it's something that's the start of a journey.
I think we've seen a huge impact across the school in how the children are responding to adults and responding to each other and the sorts of conversations that they're having. We've also, as a school, moved forward into having much more child talk than teacher talk. And I think because of that, the children, it's kind of come together really beautifully because they've been able to use their skills to communicate.
Social skills have improved massively. I think a lot of children have a better self-esteem and more confidence as well. Those children who had difficulties before, they may still have difficulties, but I think they find them less frustrating because they know that there are people who understand those difficulties and are supporting them.
It's the holy grail. It's the missing part of the education jigsaw. It's something that we've missed, and it's something that's not been there, and it's something that we think we do but actually don't. We've had behaviour strategies, and we've had literacy strategies, and we've had numeracy strategies. We've had lots and lots of strategies, but one of the things that have been missing is all this work around speech, language and communication.
If I could sum up Talk of the Town in one sentence, I think that sentence would be making a difference to children's futures.
It's an integral and essential part of an outstanding school.
Brilliant project, and if you have the opportunity to take part in it, do it, because it will just change your life.